All right, here is assignment, or sorry, problem 14.5.38T off of the chapter 14 assignment. I've already exported this data set over here and also pasted the relevant formula from the book just to make it easier to work through it. So the university is concerned about the presence of grade inflation, which is defined as an increase in the average GPA of the institution's students over time without comparable increase in academic standards. To investigate the phenomenon, the average GPA for the student body was recorded over the past 11 years, as shown on the right. Complete parts A through C. So the first thing it wants us to do is to do the scatter plot. We can just make an educated guess by looking at it. We can also insert a scatter plot if we want to. And then what you kind of have to do is have to look at sort of the aspect ratio of this and just sort of squish it down so it's similar. And then you can start to see the similarities. You can see like this first data point here is higher than the next several. So that can help you to sort of weed out like B is definitely not it. So we can see that D has a first data point higher than the rest of the data. A does too, but then it has another couple higher. So D definitely looks the most like that, especially if we stretch it out a little bit more. Anyway, so there's our scatter plot. Second, it says using an alpha of 0.05, determine the slope for the regression equation, or determine if the slope for the regression equation is statistically significant. So statistically significant means is it equal to or not equal to 0, right? So we're going to say our null hypothesis is that it is equal to 0, and our alternative hypothesis is that it is not equal to 0. So now we need to calculate our t-test statistic. We have our formula here. We're going to need to calculate our standard error of the slope. So the easiest way to do that for me is to just go to data. Actually, I'm just going to expand this here. And then I'll go to data. I'll do an analysis. We want to do a regression analysis. There's our Y range and our X range. And then we're going to tell it where we want it to put this. And that'll give us some of the info we need. All right, so the info we need, of course, is the slope of the sample. I'm going to call that S for sample regression slope, which is given to us right here under the X variable. We also need our population regression slope, which is, again, the slope of our null hypothesis, which is 0. And then we're going to need our standard error of the slope. So that we can find here under standard error as relates to the slope. So I'm just going to call this the S sub B. And there we go. So that's the info we need to calculate our t-test statistic for the regression slope. So I'm just going to label that T. And I'll go ahead and this will be sample minus the population divided by the standard error of the slope. So there's our t-test statistic. So it wants 2 decimal places, 2.46. The next thing it's going to want is the p-value for this. So in order to find the p-value, we need our alpha, which I think it told us was 0.05. So to find the p-value, we're going to use t.dist.2t, where our x is, I guess we don't need our alpha, sorry, where our x is our t there, and then our degree of freedom is n minus 2, so n is what I was forgetting. So n is just the number of ordered pairs, which we have 11 here. If I were really setting this up as a calculator, I'd want to put n in so that I could change it. So there's our p-value, which is 0.0363. And now we're supposed to figure out if it is or is not statistically significant. That's hard to say. So in this case, let's see, our p-value is less than our value of alpha. So we're going to say that this is, let's see, it is statistically significant because it is less than the value of alpha. And then what conclusion can be drawn about grade inflation? So if this is statistically significant, what we're going to say is that there appears to be evidence of grade inflation at the university. And that is it, I think. Yeah, there's no more questions. Okay, so again, hopefully that was useful to you, and don't be afraid to let me know if you have additional questions.